Welcome back, one and all, to the Damage Report. We're closing out the week the way we like to with Brett Erlich. Brett, how's it going?
I'm doing excellent, John. As we were discussing before we started, the importance of hype people, of the warm-up act, I realized I need one. I am pretty sleepy and I don't know why.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say the show needed one and you might be it. No, you need a personal one. Okay, so before the show goes live, we need your wife to go into the room and hype you up.
What's the matter with you, you sick man?
Hyped, this is an
Don't talk about get my wife's name.
This is calm down, Will. So this is an unhype video going on right now. Oh my God. Anyway. Okay, does everyone feel hyped? You ready to talk about natural gas facilities being bombed? Mike is calling HR. I've been digitally struck to the extent that with remote work, he could physically assault me. He just did, okay? He came right up to the line. Anyway, Brett.
Hey!
Oh, she's hyping him up.
Nice. My wife in a tie-dyed Steely Dan shirt runs in with a bobbing ponytail to hype me up.
I like to imagine that the second I asked her to do that, she started running across the house to you. I don't know for sure. And Ariana's in the chat. Okay, well, everybody is now mildly more hyped than they were, so that's good. And we do have a lot to talk about, non-that related. It did work. Thank you, Brett's wife. So thank you all for being here as we close out this week. We are obviously going to be talking more about what's going on with Iran, with more oil and gas infrastructure being struck. That's going to have significant consequences, both for Iran and Qatar, but also for the global markets for those resources. So more bad, economic news to come. We take a step closer to Marywayne Mullin being a cabinet secretary for some reason that I haven't even heard anyone articulate why that would be, but I guess it's just gonna be him, I suppose. And we got all sorts of other stuff. More chaos at CBS. We've got Jon Stewart scaring off Elon Musk, which is always fun. And we will have our garbage people of the week. Mine this week makes me deeply uncomfortable. So that's fun. And I also did want to announce, it's not today, it's technically tomorrow, but we're gonna say it today because we don't broadcast tomorrow. Cenk Uygur's birthday is coming up tomorrow. I don't know how he prefers to celebrate, but maybe people can send in some messages. I'm sure he's gonna be spending time with his family and all that. And so happy birthday to Cenk, who I will be doing the first hour of the Young Turks with later on today. And yeah, with all that said, Brett, you ready to do this thing?
Yes.
What did we just say about hype?
I'm a terrorist.
You unhyper.
Whether I am or not, you've been more than tall.
You've been more than late. Anyway, okay, let's talk about Iran.
I wanted to put out that fire. And I said, if I do that, oil prices will go up, the economy will go down a little bit. I thought it would be worse, much worse, actually. I thought there was a chance it could be much worse. It's not bad, and it's gonna be over with pretty soon.
Yeah, so even he admits that it's bad, but don't worry, it's gonna be over really soon. So the devastating economic news that he continues to heap on the American public, both with his domestic economic policies vis-a-vis tariffs, but also with his disastrous war of choice with Iran, which just got much worse because not only is the Strait of Hormuz still closed down, only because Iran's firing missiles though, but also now Israel and Iran are striking other gas infrastructure in the region, and not just oil, but also fossil gas too. So we got that to look forward to. And I just want everyone to remember, when Donald Trump ran for president, he did not run on, I'm gonna cause you a bunch of pain, but don't worry, maybe it won't last that long. It's actually a very different message than that. It was, within 1 year, the price of energy, including gasoline, will be 50% of what it is on the day I'm inaugurated. It is instead massively up. And maybe at some point it will go down, although the experts are saying it seems increasingly unlikely that these are going to be temporary increases. And here we're talking not just about the continued issues with getting through the Strait of Hormuz, but also the recent Israeli strike on Iran's South Pars gas field. So this is a massive gas field that basically is shared between Qatar and Iran. And so, interestingly, hours after the attack, which happened 2 days ago, Qatar blamed Iran. Bear in mind, there had been a previous attack of a similar nature from Israel. So now it looks like I fully buy that Iran would potentially do this, but it also does seem like it was sort of payback for what had just been done to them. Regardless of who actually did this, it's gonna have a significant impact, and not only in the region, pretty much all around the world. Now, in the initial attack, where Israel decided to once again attack oil infrastructure, basically like just putting a lie to the idea that this is just about taking out the military or even just assassinating their leaders, which is something that has become almost instantaneously normalized, that you just murder political leaders constantly. They're just destroying the infrastructure because they just want to hurt the country. And so Donald Trump tried to put some distance between himself and Israel on that attack, saying, Israel, out of anger for what has taken place in the Middle East. Wait, can I pause? I don't like to pause one sentence in. Israel's angry about what's taking place in the. They're the ones who did the thing that's taking place in the. If they didn't want all of this, they could have not manipulated Donald Trump into starting the war. I feel like they have the least call to be angry about what's been going on, but evidently they were just being emotional, according to Donald Trump. They violently lashed out at a major facility known as South Park's gas field. A relatively small section of the whole has been hit. That very much remains to be seen. I feel like he's massively underplaying it. The United States knew nothing about this particular attack. It gets really weird where he talks about Qatar there for a little bit. He talks about attacks. It was super unfair for Iran to then attack Qatar's fossil gas facility, which is weird. Is it that Iran is, maybe they're just out of anger at what has taken place? Isn't it weird how when a similar thing is done between two parties, one is just an understandable, albeit emotional response, and the other is unjustifiable and illegal? Okay, well, the end result is that both of the fields have been damaged. And the important thing to come out of this is that Donald Trump is importantly lying. He did know that the attack was going to happen. Now you might wonder, why would he lie about that? And I definitely have a theory, but first, here he is a day after pretending that he had no idea and that he was gonna stop them from doing it again, basically admitting that he did know.
You talked to Prime Minister Netanyahu about attacking the oil and gas fields.
Yeah, I did. I told him don't do that, and he won't do that. We didn't discuss. We do. We're independent. We get along great. It's coordinated, but on occasion he'll do something, and if I don't like it, and so we're not doing that anymore.
Gotta love that independent coordination. That's a fun little phrase. So Donald Trump did know about it. We know, he basically admitted it. Israeli officials have basically admitted it. It's pretty clear that they did know. So why lie about it? I mean, Israel's bombing Iran. Generally, Donald Trump doesn't seem to be, an enemy of that idea. He seems to be on board. So why lie? I mean, look, it could be that he doesn't want any of the blame for something that could further increase the price of a variety of different energy sources. It might just be that he doesn't want more of that on his plate. I think that's an understandable explanation for why he would lie and pretend that he didn't know. But I think a stronger one is, if he did not want the oil infrastructure to be attacked, and Israel's like, we're gonna do it, and he was like, don't do it, and they did it anyway, is he gonna want to admit that he asked our great ally, our friend in the region, not to do this, and they did it anyway? That would potentially make them look like bad allies, or make it look like he has no control over this independent coordination. So isn't it maybe easier to just pretend to be utterly ignorant of what's going on? That is his domestic strategy, Brett. Anytime something bad happens, he don't know nothing about it. And for some reason, we're not supposed to come to the conclusion that he is the sleepy Joe he's been warning us about. So I don't know what you think, if you think it's a lie that he just doesn't have the control over Netanyahu he'd like to have, or if he is actually so disconnected he doesn't know what's going on. What do you think?
It's such a funny position to be in, where you're trying to analyze the psychology behind individual decisions Donald Trump is making. And it sounds more like you're a dog owner talking about your dog and why he pees on things. Because it's like, we all know he's not sitting there going well, where should I pee today? Well, let me pull out my map and my strategic situation, outlining where I've laid the perimeter. The dog just walks out there and is and pees on stuff. Sniffs around maybe, but that's what it's like. And Donald Trump, I would love to hear him explain anything in any way that makes coherent sense from start to finish. We know that never happens. That's how people do impressions of him. The ones tasked in our great society of essentializing famous people's thought, the impression doers, comedians. Their whole thing is like, I want to do it, but I didn't do it. But if I did do it, it wasn't my fault. And maybe if I do it and it is my fault, it wasn't actually my fault because it was a great scheme. I'm not going to tell you what that. And that's how the impression always goes before it turns into Cosby like mine did.
I'm glad that it did get there though.
But yeah,
yeah, it's. I wish that we didn't have to do this bizarre psychoanalysis that I feel like drives us insane in the process of doing it.
But when he says stuff like, I didn't think it would get this, I thought it would get worse. I didn't think it's happening, it's bad, we all know it's bad. I thought it would be worse. Why?
Yeah.
This isn't your legs broken and poking out your skin. I need to reset it, which will hurt and will be sore for a while, then it will be good. This is business was usualing in that region.
Yeah.
And I decided to kill an 86-year-old man, making him a martyr, and then just kind of letting it all go. Like, I know Israel out of anger. It's weird. There's this thing where people are like, I don't know why Israel's angry. Israel's angry because Iran hates Israel since it started.
Yeah.
Israel hates Iran for that reason. Like, Iran has been using a bunch of people to attack Israel. That's why Israel's mad.
Yeah.
Now, America's job and a lot of the world's job is not just with Israel and not just with Ukraine and not just with, Darfur, is to really, and this is sad and cynical, analyze how bad it's allowed to get before we got to do something.
Yeah.
And that's really it. In October 7th, like in September 11th, all the dates you're forced to memorize, kids in school, like those precipitate typically interventionist acts from allies, right? The question is, where does that stop? When do you declare victory and get it back to like, just don't kill each other, please. No annihilations, thank you. Like that's the sad, almost insurance analyst mitigating decision making of like what's the word when you do it? Like actuaries of the world. Mm-hmm. And that's sad, but that's kind of what it really is. And Trump just did this, I think, for reasons outside of what many would consider like decent, realistic decision-making processes. He's like, me got big gun, me shoot many people.
Yeah. Well, you talked about the actuaries. We should probably turn to the accountants because this war ain't free. I mean, they act as if it is, but it actually costs quite a bit. Let's jump into that.
There was a report last night that the Pentagon asked the White House for $200 billion for Iran war supplemental. Can you confirm this, and can you explain why a package this large is necessary?
As far as $200 billion, I think that number could move. Obviously, it takes money to kill bad guys. So we're going back to Congress and our folks there to ensure that we're properly funded for what's been done, for what we may have to do in the future. Ensure that our ammunition everything's refilled, and not just refilled, but above and beyond. I mean, President Trump, as he said, rebuilt the military in his first term, didn't think he'd use it as dynamically in his second, but he had. So thank goodness he did that. And an investment like this is meant to say, hey, we'll replace anything that was spent. And now that we're reviving our defense industrial base and rebuilding the arsenal of freedom and cutting deals like our great deputy secretaries here is doing, long lead times on exquisite munitions, we're going to be refilled faster than anyone imagined.
Exquisite munitions? I mean, I know this is a guy who has lobster tail for breakfast, but what the hell are you talking about? And you really dropped the whole alpha thing fast. Now you're a fancy boy with exquisite munitions. So $200 billion, that number could move, and I'm gonna bet that it will. and I think I know in what direction. Yeah, so we need to spend $200 additional billion, not the 11 billion that we've already been told we've already wasted on this war, not the 11 billion that we'll waste in the next week or so. $200 billion for this conflict, which is more than most of the world's countries spend on their entire military, which seems strange to me because I happen to know that we spend quite a bit of money on our military, the better part of $1 trillion. Now, I have learned, as many people have learned, that evidently $1 trillion for your military doesn't cover war for some reason, which I'll never understand. Now we find out it doesn't cover ammunition. What are we paying for with the $1 trillion? Like, I literally don't even know what it covers if every single thing our military does needs a supplemental appropriation. It's one thing when they're like, we need extra money because we're gonna send it to Ukraine. This is our military we're spending it on. How could we possibly need to spend an extra $200 billion after the $1 trillion we spent last year, the $900 billion we spent the year before that, the $880 we spent the year before that? Where is that money going if it doesn't cover literally anything, including bombs, missiles, bullets, or ships, exquisite or not? I'm very confused about all of that. Now, there's a lot to be confused about when it comes to Pentagon spending because they fail every audit they have, 8 in a row now. But yeah, we should just sign them basically a blank check that they can bomb the Middle East with. And so, yeah, exquisite munitions. Here's you got Donald Trump, the pro-peace guy. He says, we wanna be in the best shape we've ever been in. It's a small price to pay to make sure that we stay tippy top. I didn't add that. He said, we need to be tippy top. So we need 200, that's the tippiest of the top is $200 billion. Well, they're getting some pushback, which is great. I love when they get a little bit of pushback and then they get infinite money that flies out the door as fast as an ICBM. Meanwhile, we debate for years about whether we should do something about like the degradation of our climate or the student loan debt crisis, the fact that there's no housing, all those issues. We hem and haw and we debate and we think and all that. Meanwhile, Iran, $200 billion. Here's a mountain of cash. You want more? Well, Ilhan Omar, she says, and I'm glad that she is, we're told there's no money for universal health care or to end hunger in this country, but somehow 200 billion more for war will likely move through Congress without question. Not another penny for another endless war. Well, there will unfortunately be a lot of pennies there. There's token Republican resistance to this, including from Lauren Boebert.
I will not vote for a war supplemental. No, I am a no. I've already told leadership I am a no on any war supplementals. I am so tired of spending money elsewhere. I am tired of the industrial war complex getting all of our hard-earned tax dollars. I have folks in Colorado who can't afford to live. We need America First policies right now, and that I'm not doing that.
We'll see. That was pretty strong. It would seem to be difficult to go back on that. We'll see. There's also Chip Roy who said, what are we doing? We're talking about boots on the ground. We're talking about that kind of extended activity. Now we're in a whole nother zip code. They got a whole lot more briefing and a whole lot more explaining to do on how we're gonna pay for it and what's the mission here. But he did not say that he would not vote for it. So we'll see. Remember, there's some pressure on them to at least act as if you're opposing this. The only act that truly matters, though, is blocking it, or I don't know, dragging Pete Hegseth to testify under oath before Congress or something like that. But obviously, they're not going to do that. That said, us paying for it turns out, is only one of the potential options. Representative Scott Perry has a different idea. Take a look.
I support the president. I support this action, but at the same time, we've got to pay for this. So how is this going to be dealt with? I would actually like to see Iran pay for this, whether it's 20 billion or 200 billion, whatever it is. Look, they've been at war with us for 47 years, and it's finally being ended by the president, which is awesome. But it comes at a cost, and they have resources. They have been siphoning those resources away from their population for those 4.5, 5 decades, and certainly they could pay that bill pretty quickly once things get up and running. And the Ayatollah is no longer in charge. So I think that's an option that we need to pursue as well.
You want to see whatever this costs the U.S. taxpayer, whatever the Pentagon does come to you and ask for, to be offset by Iran?
Well, I think we got to pay for this somehow, right? We don't have endless money.
But you do act like you do. By the way, I love the straight face on Caitlin Collins there with that stupid idea. So war obviously costs a lot. That poor man's rendition of George Orwell came free. So we didn't start a war. Trump is ending the war by starting the war. Iran's been at war with us, stretching back literally decades. That's a fun remake of history. What do you think, Brett?
Like Caitlin Collins, like I'm just gonna say words and allow you to say more dumb words. She's like, could you care to say more about that thing? Like, I just want to essentially, how does they pay their war amount? Who would do that? Here's money, like, and what he's actually saying is just how empire works, by the way. Like, if you ask anyone what they think America's trying to do, it is that. And fill in any country besides, I guess, Vietnam. Like, we are either fighting, for resources, which is the default situation, or we're fighting against ideologies that prevent us from getting resources. That's how empire works. And you see that in their justifications for it. It's like, this is evil extremist Islamists who we started meddling with when they started nationalizing their oil reserves. Yeah. Or it's just like, hey, in another country, we're gonna withhold AIDS medicine until you give us your resources. That was, I forget what country it was, but it was just like so horribly mean.
We're just the worst. Yeah.
Like, and that's that guy. And like him sitting there with his weird, like, yeah, we're just gonna have them pay for it, is the sad reality of cultism, right? The most people, when you have a conversation with them and you ask them a question and they're not like in a cult or being like stubborn for reasons similar to like tribalism and cultism, they'll be like, oh, that is a good point. Let me see if I have an answer for that. But instead, right now, Trump and anyone trying to appeal to Trump from the inside, or everybody else that just loves him from the outside, they don't care what his argument is. They just care that it's his argument.
Yeah.
So they're just gonna say the most nonsensical, stupid crap until they stop getting away with it.
Well, I'm glad that you mentioned the cult aspect, because he's really invoking one of the foundational lies of the cult, one of the first ones, which is Mexico. We're gonna build the wall and Mexico's gonna pay for it.
How?
It's the same thing. It's the same thing. We're gonna do an insane expensive thing, but the other side will pay for it. No, that's not how that's going to work, okay? God, these people. Well, we got to turn back to one of the worst people in our government, that being Pete Hegseth. Let's listen to some more of his lies.
Yesterday at Dover Air Force Base, President Trump, the chairman, and I stood in solemn silence as heroes came home. Flag-draped caskets, we honored them. We grieved with their families, and we listened. What I heard through tears, through hugs, through strength, and through unbreakable resolve was the same from family after family. They said, finish this. Honor their sacrifice. Do not waver. Do not stop until the job is done. My response, along with that of the president, was simple. Of course, we will finish this.
So, if that sounded like more BS out of his mouth, it's for two reasons. The first is that he can't say a single thing and sound authentic. Everything is a performance. He's a talk show host. The other is that it's BS, and we're finding that out from the families. So one of the people that he met in that meeting was Charlie Simmons. Charlie Simmons lost his 28-year-old son, Tech Sergeant Tyler Simmons, who's one of the 6 crew members who were killed when their refueling plane crashed in Iraq last week. Sorry, that actually lacks necessary context. One of the 6 crew members who was killed when their refueling plane crashed in Iraq last week during a mission that never would have happened if we hadn't decided to go to war with Iran. He would be alive today if we hadn't gone to war with Iran. He'd be alive today if Donald Trump hadn't won the election. That's the necessary context that you need to understand this meeting. Now, it's entirely possible that many of these families don't blame Pete Hegseth or don't blame Donald Trump or support the war or whatever. I can't necessarily understand the frame of the state of mind that they're in, but it's possible that that's one of the ways that they're working through this. But he is also speaking for all of them, and asserting that every one of these families, every one of these family members thinks the exact same way of all of this, and they all support it. And the reason he's saying that is for everyone else to say, you shut the hell up. The grieving family members are fine with this, so who the hell are you to have a problem with them dying? Now, Charlie Simmons remembers the exchange with Pete Hegseth a little bit different. Bear in mind, Charlie Simmons was almost certainly sober for it. I can't speak for the other party to that conversation. But Charlie Simmons says, I can't speak for the other families. When he spoke to me, that was not something we talked about. He said he told the defense secretary, I understand there's a lot of peril that goes into making decisions like this, and I just certainly hope the decisions being made are necessary. And I think, again, I won't speak for him, but I think the suspicion is that they are not necessary. I mean, they literally are not. We don't need to be in this war. Asked if he said anything to Hegseth or Trump about the need to keep fighting the war, Simmons said, oh, no, I didn't say anything along those lines. A 60-year-old music teacher in Columbus, Ohio, Simmons told NBC News that he has questions about the war and isn't able to draw definitive conclusions when I don't have all the data. Who wants war? Sometimes it's a necessity, and I just don't know what's going on. So he actually sounds like most Americans who don't understand why we're in this war. And again, I don't know what his politics are. That's up to him. He just lost his son. He can have whatever thought he wants about all of this. I can't speak for him. I can't speak for any of the other people there. I know that if it had been me and I had been there, my response would have been different. I would have wanted to finish the job. The job, though, would have been me advancing on Pete Hegseth until I got my hands around his throat and I would have squeezed hard enough to bend a metal bar. That's what my response would have been. He is more of a man of peace, Charlie Simmons, I suppose. So instead, he just tried to get through to Pete Hegseth. But unfortunately for him, Pete Hegseth doesn't give a damn about any of these people. He's a loyalist. He is doing what Donald Trump wants, and more importantly, and we saw this coming, we know what Pete Hegseth has been saying and writing for years, he's doing what Israel wants vis-a-vis this war. And it doesn't matter how many technical sergeants have to die along the way, that's the eggs that I guess have to be broken to make this particularly grotesque omelet. Brett, what do you think?
Who in their right mind believes that interaction Pete Hegseth outlined, like, ever happened? No, that's like when someone tells you they lost their virginity, she just doesn't go here.
Yeah.
Oh, it was great. How was your summer vacation, Pete Hegseth? Oh, it was great. Like 700, a harem of women just threw them. No, they didn't. Oh, the people who for no reason I sent their family members to die were like, let's finish it. Are you sure? Second thing, are you sure they said finish it or did they say stop it? I think they probably more likely said stop it. And third, can we see that video of Pete Hegseth? Because I want to talk about the dumbest pocket square in the universe. Buddy, do you know what people do with their pocket squares, you fake patriot dip ass? They blow their nose in it. You have an American flag pocket square, you anti-American booger.
Yeah.
Like, this is like, for me, the apotheosis of the fake American patriotism from these self-serving narcissists. It gets to the point where, like, you're not patriotic enough. You don't have enough pocket squares. Or you don't have enough American flags everywhere. Not only would someone get in trouble if they didn't have a pin, and he doesn't have a pin, if it was a Democrat, they would get in trouble for that pocket square because every Republican would be like, is he blowing his nose in it? He just outlined a fake scenario where someone cried. Did he get tears in it? But it's so ridiculously arch and over the top that any reasonable, pragmatic human being would be like, wait, you're gonna blow a loogie snot bubble into the American flag? It's disgusting.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's physically disgusting. It's rhetorically disgusting. All of this is just utterly disgusting and utterly pointless. None of this needs to be happening. We don't need to be wasting the money. We don't have to be driving up the price of everything. We don't have to be leading to these soldiers dying. We don't have to be providing cover for, we're not doing like a full segment on it, the absolutely devastating invasion of Lebanon that's going on right now, where civilian apartment complexes are just being utterly leveled. Just just murdering civilians in massive airstrikes. And there's so much going on that we can't even really focus on it. None of this needs to be happening. But it is at least, it's the worst people in the world are getting what they want. I suppose there's that. Now, we have a lot of the news to get to, so we're gonna take a short break. We'll be back after this.
Rawr. John's gonna bend a metal bar. John's gonna bend a metal bar.
Have
you ever done that?
No, that's why it'd be an extreme response if it was a.
You seem strong enough to do that, and there's all kinds of metals.
I suppose that's true. Aluminum foil, I'll mess it up. Whole roll, honestly. Brett, have you watched Night of the Seven Kingdoms?
Yeah, awesome.
You finished it?
Oh my God,
okay,
loved it.
I haven't. I'm 3 episodes in. I don't even know how many there are, and I don't want to know yet.
6.
We waited a long time to start because we didn't have HBO. And we haven't since gotten it, but we can now see the show. But anyway, I just want to say, I love it. I think it's so good. It's just a delightful show to watch.
It's
great. I love it.
I thought about you a lot while I was watching it because it is just like, so you want to be a hero. For all you Sierra fans out there. Sierra, did you ever play the Sierra games? Like King's Quest, Heroes Quest?
A little, yeah.
Oh, it's just Heroes Quest, and it's my favorite.
He's just like this, like he's just trying to do the right thing. The kid is a delight. The scene where the kid trains the horse, I was just like, I love this.
I don't know, I don't remember episode by episode, but it just keeps getting better and more significant.
It's so good. I started reading the books that it's based on too at the same time, and it's like a direct adaptation. Like every line of dialogue is basically from it, and it's just awesome. I love it. Anyway, speaking of things I love, but in this case, things I can't do. I wish I was playing golf this weekend, but I can't. But I do miss it.
I am. Don't say where we're playing because I don't want a huge gallery of fans.
Yeah, just constant. So that you don't want to accidentally shank right into a big crowd of Dragon Squad people.
Though where we're playing, someone will probably try to hit us. Or accidentally almost hit us.
Definitely a place where that happens. Yeah, maybe we can play the following week. I'm also really looking to have some lessons because I think it's about time I start to improve. I think I should probably work on that at some point. Anyway,
everybody calm down.
Let's jump into some comments. Guam will capsize dragon says, yes, Iran should pay for their own slaughter. Yeah, I feel like, look, we've already done almost everything we can to turn the Iranian people against us. But I do think taking that one aspect of what enraged Germany, I think we can do that too to make them pay for it afterward. It's actually called Quest for Glory. It's the Hero Quest series. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's so
Hero
good.
Quest was the board game, I thought.
We just call, there's Space Quest. We call, Quest for Glory, Heroes Quest.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, it's so good.
Space Quest sounds good. I need to look at that.
You get to choose what kind of hero you want to be.
You know what? In the real world, you can do that too.
For my brother's 40th birthday, I got him a laptop, like one of those cheap laptops, and I just loaded it up with old Sierra games from Steam.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. Okay, Winston Smith says Trump's not going to admit that Bibi's calling the shots. Well, yeah, no, obviously. Cabbage says when all else fails, Biden did it. They've blamed the war. They blamed the situation with the Strait of Hormuz on Biden, which seems to be impossible, but I'm sure they will blame a delay in delivering the marble armrests for the Trump Kennedy Center on Biden if they can get away with it, and even if they can't. The Cloud Dragon, thank you for being a member for 47 months over on YouTube. Super nice of you. Brent Weinberg, member for 47 months, says Pete Hegseth is like a used car salesman doing a Ben Shapiro impression. Huh. That's interesting. Okay, that's not bad. I like it. There's so many other comments, but we unfortunately are out of time. We got to get back to more news. We'll be back after this.
Rawr.
If you're just joining us now, please hit the like button as we jump into this. Despite getting quite a bit more pushback from his fellow Republicans than Kristi Noem did, it's really looking at this point like Marywayne Mullin is still going to be the next head of the DHS. I have no idea why. He has no relevant experience, at least not unclassified experience. He might or might not have smelled war somewhere that he can't tell us about. And other than that, he's a blowhard senator. I don't know why that makes you qualified for these sorts of positions, but that is the unfortunate state that our government is in. Now, there are a lot of reasons to be concerned about him being in that position. He's a terrible guy who has already interacted with DHS's recent policy in terrible ways. He took part in the smearing of the victims of Border Patrol and ICE violence, and I expect that he will do the same thing. But one of the most important reasons to be concerned about him being the head of the DHS is he is not reassuring when it comes to whether or not ICE will be just ringing polling locations for the midterms. He was asked about the possibility of doing that by Senator Slotkin, and here is how he answered.
If you are Secretary of Homeland Security, do you feel you have the authority to put uniformed officers at polling locations in 2026?
Ma'am, we said this in your office. The only reason why my officers would be there if there was a specific threat for them to be there, not for intimidation. And
so even though we didn't need it during World War II, we didn't need it during Vietnam or the War on Terror, we never had to put uniformed military there. Now, you feel that there's going to be a reason that there's going to be an armed threat to the United States that you need to potentially be there?
I can't sit there and guarantee hypothetically what threat would be and not. I'm not putting military. That's not within my
uniformed officers.
But if there is a threat, a specific threat, say it's in a Jewish community, and there is a threat that's specific to that polling area, then we will work with local law enforcement. There'll be a reason for us to be there, and it'll be known why we're there.
I think the reason you're here and not Kristi Noem is because Americans trust their local law enforcement now way more than they trust ICE. So I would just say if we ever get to the point where you are being asked to put armed ICE officers at polling locations, we have lost the plot as a country. We have fundamentally lost it.
Yeah, I would argue that it would be further evidence that we had already lost it. I disagree slightly there. The fact that it is a thing that we're just waiting to see if it'll happen, that feels like we've certainly lost sort of core components of our democracy, and I believe it will happen. And I don't think it's gonna just happen at one location where there's a lot of Jewish Americans and there's a threat or whatever. By the way, threats like that happen every election. There are always threats in individual locations, and it has never resulted in this being done. The threat that the administration seems to feel is real is the threat to them maintaining control over the Senate and the House of Representatives. That is my fear. I think it's a very justifiable fear. And Brett, I think that there's no way they put him forward without getting a clear answer about what he would be willing to do if called upon to do it. Marywayne Mullin is not going to be like, he's not going to resign out of principle if they ask him to try to manipulate the results of the election. What do you think?
The federal government and its agents, so to speak, they just like kidnapped Nicolas Maduro and were at war with Iran. And they haven't really provided a coherent reason for us to spend trillions of dollars and get people killed. They just make it up if they even feel they need to. And that's the most, as much as that has in its DNA like the specter of threats, the ambiguity or the feeling that they don't have any obligation to fully articulate the threat, that is the biggest threat facing America right now. Is the government, and I hear this from a lot of small government people, the government not really telling us why they put their boot on our throat is this the big fear we all have because we've seen it play out. And that's what Slotkin's asking about. Like, bro, we know they're just gonna manufacture some fake reason, if they even feel obligated at all to share with us, that they need to deploy armed troops at polling locations when this hasn't ever really been a problem.
Yeah.
And we all know it, and it's disgusting that he's like, what? Why would you even? I can't make a promise now.
Yeah, they're just the worst people. Is it better or worse than Noem? I don't know. I haven't heard that he capped a dog or anything, so I guess he's got that on or whatever. He probably
his first name is the same as the cult leader in the Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt.
That's a That's reason enough to vote against him. But anyway, in terms of how serious the actual evidence of a threat needs to be, I would just remind everyone, they sent National Guard and all that into multiple cities based on obvious provable lies about levels of crime in those cities. They sent them into places where crime was already falling, lied that it had been massively going up. They are perfectly comfortable lying about threats. They've already proven that over and over again across America. And I don't even know what the stakes were in that case. The stakes here is potentially losing power. The stakes potentially are impeachment, investigations, hearings, and subpoenas. You don't think that they would be far more willing to lie about potential threats, or as Brett alluded to, not even lie, just send them in. Like the idea that they would have to put out a press release and we'd have to buy it before they do it, they'll just do it. And they don't even need to do it in that many locations. They might feel like a couple of cities might take care of it for them. Maybe do it in Austin, do it in Houston or whatever. Maybe that's enough. And we'll just have to see. Now, I think we probably take our second break a little bit early. We've got some interesting developments at CBS, which we've been tracking for some time. We'll have that for you after this.
Woo!
Okay, everybody, let's get into some of your comments. Young Grifted and Black Dragon says that's just the way he slurs his words. He actually said he's the Propecia president. I actually don't know which clip that's a reference to.
What's crazy is Sean O'Brien behind him after they almost made out while punching each other once during a hearing.
Oh, I didn't notice in the background. Let's see. Dion Jones says, I blame 77 million idiots for all of this crap. Yeah, he did get a lot of votes. He did. Not a landslide, not even the majority, but it was a lot of votes. Cull Get the GWC says, we do not have to wait 500 years for idiocracy. It's already here. The baboons, Graham and Cracker are braying out for war. It's a disgrace. Yeah, I actually haven't really been following what Lindsey Graham has been saying the last couple of days, but I imagine he's come up with some more countries he'd like to see invaded. Don Whitehead says Israel should pay for this. They need to pay us back money we've sent to them. Not gonna happen. I was saying yesterday on the show, like it feels like, if we give $200 to $300 billion to build up their military, couldn't they do the war? Like, so we give you all the money to build their military, and then we still do the war for you? I feel like, give a man a fish and he eats for a day. Teach a man to fish, and he can bomb Tehran every 6 months until the end of time, I suppose. Anyway, okay, let's see. Over on the Twitches, a really chill guy has been a subscriber for 68 months, says 1 month away from the nice anniversary.
Nice.
This is a banner quarter for really chill guy. He gets the 6-7, he's looking forward to that. What do you think, Brett? You're better.
That's funny. I did want to say the exquisite munitions is a thing, by the way. It's like very tailored munitions that only destroy one kind of thing. And during Biden's first few months, he was like, let's focus more on like cheaper, more versatile weaponry.
Yeah, no, I did not believe that he was literally just whipping out a vocabulary word.
Well, I don't know. I felt that
this is public-facing language. So something theoretically being an accurate description doesn't mean that's the word you should use when you're communicating to the public about it, especially amidst all of the confusion and all of that. Okay, let's see. Okay, Memic Online, been here for 45 months. So I've been watching TYT since maybe 2011, 2012. I usually watch Haas, but I try to never miss TDR, especially Fridays with Brett. John, you're a real one. Thank you for having a broad base of news consumption. I do appreciate that. Muffet14, subscribe with Prime over on Twitch. That's super nice of you. The IT Dragon's been here for 58 months. Thank you so much. Very nice of you as well. Brett, I was thinking before the show, we were talking about, what were we talking about? I don't remember, but I was really trying not to bring up, all I wanted to do was bring up golf to you because I know that you've played recently and I've been wanting to or whatever. Is there a world in which we ever have a golf podcast? What do you think?
I would love it.
It would make my producers feel better because we wouldn't have to do the members content about it. But what do you think?
Like our golf schedules are as frequently like the movie Lady Hawk. We're like, I can squeeze in 9 holes before work and you can do it after your show. But like Lady Hawk is Rutger Hauer and Michelle Pfeiffer and Matthew Broderick. It's an 80s movie where he turned into a wolf at night and she was a hawk at day.
Oh,
and
I was like, is it a golf thing?
They couldn't hang out together. No one remember. Thank you, the mighty decoy. Knows Lady Hawk.
I've never seen Lady Hawk, but now I'm very curious about this movie.
I don't know if it's still good or if I thought it was good because I watched it.
I have to see this anyway. Yeah, people in the audience are talking about Lady Hawk. Also, there's a question about whether I have a haircut. No, my hair is just very flat because I wasn't able to blow dry it because my sick daughter desperately needed my help right after I got out of the shower. Anyway, with that said, we're gonna get back to news in just a sec. But first, I wanted to remind you about a partnership that TYT is doing with Noble Mobile, the only wireless plan that pays you to use your phone less. You can pay $50 a month. That gets you their Noble plan. That's unlimited data and likely even less expense than that when the unused data at the end of the month gets credited back to your account as cash back. You can find out more at tyt.com/switch. And with that, let's jump into some media news. Bari Weiss's latest moves, which are developing literally as we're broadcasting this, show, I think, even further evidence that she is completely out of her depth. She had no qualifications to be in charge of CBS, and she's doing a terrible job of it. She's flailing in an attempt to at least make it seem as if things aren't actively getting worse. But in so doing, she's almost guaranteeing that that's exactly what's going to happen. So you should know that today, Weiss is firing dozens of incredibly important high-level positions in CBS. It's apparently one of the big steps they're taking towards transitioning CBS to being an AI-first newsroom, which obviously everybody's begging for. We all want more AI everywhere, we're told by business. But it wasn't just some people in the newsroom. 6% of the entire staff was just laid off. And we're told they said it was a difficult day. And I believe that. I think this was very tough for Bari Weiss. I mean, obviously, she's a serious newswoman, has a lot of long-term love and respect for It's so hard for her to see these people that she has no respect for whatsoever lose their jobs. They already had fired, I think, over 100 people just a couple of months ago. They could eventually fire up to 15% of their staff of around 1,100 people. Now, they say that we need to do this because we need to be cost competitive, but we need to keep up. But the way I see it, their ratings are worse since she took over. I feel like the single biggest thing they could do to increase their bottom line is not to fire 100 people, but to fire one. Can her ass and make Tony DeCappo too, probably. And then not only do you get their salary back, but maybe you can quickly get back the audience you lost because you decided that bowing down to the Trump regime was more important than doing a good job or showing any respect for your long-term viewers. But of course, they're probably not going to do that. Now, in addition to the firings, they also decided to shut down CBS News Radio. That has been broadcasting for nearly 1 century at this point, but it could not survive 6 months of Bari Weiss's leadership. So that's gonna broadcast up until near the end of May, and that'll be it. And yeah, eventually, I guess we won't have any journalists. We have Tony DeCappo doing his best and some AI generated articles. There will be no reason to tune in or read their website at all, and then that'll be the end of it. And that really, at the end of the day, was probably the whole point of this. So I guess in a perverse way, Brett, she's doing a good job, just not the job we're supposed to believe she's doing. What do you think?
Like, yeah. In the grand scheme of things, there is no way that current structures of legacy media can survive into the future without significant changes. I don't want to think anyone to think that I don't understand the reality of that. It used to be like, all right, what can ABC do to beat CBS? But now it's like, what can the remaining channels in that legacy media bubble do to compete with other stuff? The problem is, like, where does the money come from? It used to be that the money came from the companies, the networks, to lose money on the news department because you still felt some obligation to do the right thing and report the news. But that went out the window years ago, even before internet. It went out the window with cable news, and now everybody's struggling to either have one foot in both or whatever. But like, I understand that there needs to be restructuring within this business, and I'm sure they're going to save like CBS News Sports because that has a revenue stream. That said, dude, like we all know that Bari Weiss got this job because she was like, I'm going to turn CBS into a Trump-loving turd. And that's the stuff that's the prize I keep my eyes on as this happens. And how does it pertain to this? Well, they're going to fire they're going to use restructuring as a way to draw and like how difficult it is to keep up with the changing media landscape as like the fog of war, under which they're going to get rid of a lot of journalists who aren't asking themselves, oh, is this good for Trump or bad for Trump? Just a lot of journalists who ask themselves, is this good journalism? And that's the scariest part. And we know who she is. We know she's trash.
100%.
It's like, and everybody needs to watch Anna talking to Tim Dillon about this. It's amazing.
Oh, no, I do need to see that. I haven't seen that. Yeah, she probably should have been one of the garbage people today. By the way, before we move on, I just want to say, obviously, there's been a lot of problems with CBS Evening News. The ratings are down massively. And there have been different theories as to why that is. And the theory matters because how you solve it is dependent on that. Now, it could be that Tony DeCoppel sucks at his job. It could be that making it super wishy-washy around topics like January 6th has driven away their audience while bringing in no new audience because Fox News people are not going to suddenly start watching CBS Evening News. It could be a variety of different things. Or it could just be the producer. And that's what they've landed on. So they're firing one of the top producers at the show. I'm sure that'll fix it. I'm sure people were like, I just can't watch this anymore. Don't like that producer. Now, if we just get a new producer in, but still make it a show that sucks up to Trump and to Marco Rubio and all of that with weird technical problems and a guy who doesn't know how to vamp to fill dead air, I'm sure it'll do much better at that point. That's Kim Harvey, by the way, the executive producer of CBS Evening News. They're saying that she's being sacrificed to the ratings gods. I feel like the host is probably the problem. Like, imagine if TDR went down massively and I sucked at my job and I was like, producer Ashley's gotta go. What the hell?
No,
I mean, that is what I will say if that ever happens, but it won't make sense. I'll just be desperate.
Right, but it's different.
Yeah.
And the producers are kind of God at those networks.
Yeah, but like what changed?
Not the meat.
Before the ratings
the
went
hosts
down.
are just like pretty suits.
No, I understand in general terms, but their ratings have gone down since he took over. That's
right, but you can't divorce those two.
Well, I would fire him. I think.
Like I just think both of those. My comment was more toward like if Damage Report goes down here at TYT, John's voice is what sets the rundown. At other I've been in other newsrooms where it's like, welcome host, here's what we're doing today.
Yeah. Well, with that said, we have one more topic to get to close out this hour. Let's jump into this.
I believe, and I know President Trump believes, that when this theft is exposed, we will see that if all of it were stopped, it would be enough to balance the budget. The extraction of wealth from American taxpayers to people who don't belong here is the primary cause of the national debt, and this is the first ever effort to shut that down. Thank you, Mr. President.
First ever.
Yeah, we've never looked into fraud before, waste or abuse. I feel like this is some doggy erasure from the administration right now, let alone, every other administration ever. So look, Stephen Miller is obviously lying there. The idea that Somali fraud is the only reason we have a deficit or the national debt seems kind of ridiculous. I mean, even the made up numbers that they say that they've stolen $19 billion, utterly made up, utterly invented. That's like, I believe, 2 days of the growing national debt. The idea that that's all of it seems kind of insane, but there's a reason why he would tell this particular sort of identity politics lie. Because he wants it so that when you think about the national debt, you don't think about tax cuts for billionaires. You don't think about forever wars. You don't think about Donald Trump's lies. You think about Somalis, Guatemalans. It's all them, okay? If only we can get rid of more dark-skinned people, then we can finally fix the financial problems that we find ourselves in. Now, obviously, that's a lie. And I remember what Trump said about the national debt. He said in 2016 that he would be able to get rid of the nation's more than $19 trillion at that point national debt over a period of 8 years. He would entirely eliminate the national debt in 2 terms. So I looked into it and that didn't happen. And we're not even getting close because it went from 19 trillion to now 39 trillion. In fact, we have added $1 trillion to the national debt since October. Like it is going up fast now, okay? And so not only did he not wipe it out, he in fact, it's doubled since he made that claim. Now I know what you're thinking. Well, he wasn't the only president during that time. Now he has been president for more years than Joe Biden was, but maybe it's just Joe Biden's fault, but not exactly, because there have been analysis of what was actually added to the debt. And Donald Trump has added far more. And I will remind you, like you might think, okay, COVID, inflation coming out of that and all that. No, I mean, Donald Trump, 4 out of the 5 years he's been president were before all of that, or at least 3.5. He added a ton even before we got into those troubles. And he also told us that the tariffs were gonna fix all these problems. Well, we had a year of that. And he's still basically lapping Joe Biden when it comes to contributions to the national debt. And the weird thing is, like we had the Somali debt or whatever, but that's a tiny fraction of it. You know what else we've had? Well, we had $4.5 trillion being given to the wealthy in the tax cuts this time. We had nearly that much the first time. Obviously, there's wars and stuff like that. There's stimulus spending, but I kind of feel like maybe if we weren't routinely throwing trillions of dollars at the wealthy, we would not necessarily have doubled the debt in that time. So in any event, he has not made, it's not promises made, promises kept. And I think that Stephen Miller's doing a pretty bad job distracting from that. But what do you think, Brett?
If I were the Steve Miller's teacher, I would simply say, as we all saw when we used our calculator, show your work.
Yeah.
Like you're telling me that he's just saying it. Like we know he's just saying it. He's just saying that this is immigrants because they've always said it. And they all see if they can get away with it. There is absolutely no number that or study that says that what he says is true. The only ones that make up for a tiny portion of it are ones explicitly created by advocacy groups. It's similar to when they were like, when you will see like milk does a body good. That all that research was done by the Milk Council. Mm-hmm. Like that's the long and short of it, and they just think they can get away with it. They've always blamed outsiders, and the fact is, when we want to talk about eliminating GDP and tax money that explodes the debt, it's probably going to be AI. Which with all the bets placed and the fact that there will only be a few winners, will literally make billions and billions, if not trillions of dollars in the economy magically just literally disappear when those companies go out of business. That's the great cool thing about capitalism. But also the structures that will exist afterwards do not a virtuous cycle create, because there won't be anyone working at these companies to get paid by these companies. It'll all go to like the cost of resources that are non-labor extracted.
Yeah, it's just a disaster. I mean, the entire thing is a disaster. And the issue is that like obviously something needs to be done. But we also know that we know the pattern of how it works. The Democrats take over and they're supposed to be fiscally responsible. They're supposed to rein in spending to try to get it down. And if they do that, if they stick to their guns, then they will cause a little bit of short-term economic distress that will result in a Republican getting back into office and then handing over $4 to $5 trillion to the wealthy. Like that's a pattern that we've lived through multiple times just in the time that I have been doing this show. And I'm kind of sick of it. And I hope that the American people are too. In any event, that's all the time we have for the first hour of the show. Definitely stick around for the aftermath though, because we will be throwing away our garbage people of the week. And we'll be talking about the Donald Trump commemorative coin as well. It's gonna be a lot of fun. So don't go anywhere. We'll be back after this. Welcome back to the Aftermath, one and all. I am John Iadarola. He remains Brett Erlich. By the way, Brett, I'm sure that you have seen this, but next TYT reporter says, breaking news, actor Chuck Norris has passed away at age 86. I hadn't realized he was quite that old, but he has passed away. I don't know if you were a fan, but
yeah, but before he died and he took death with him.
He took it down on
He killed he was able to kill the Grim Reaper as he was dying. Like no one before had been able to, because he's Chuck Norris, so no one dies anymore.
That's something. We just decay, but forever. Shockline's Matt sent 10 membership, which is super nice of you. Thank you. Don Whitehead, member for 19 months, says how to sync CBS. Hire Barry Weiss. Does seem like a pretty good way. Queen Inky and Jay Black, thank you for being members. I appreciate it. George Krakowski says in super chat, golf equals gentlemen only, ladies forbidden. I mean, that's definitely not how I feel about it, but.
John the other day, while we were on the golf course, saw 4 ladies playing golf, and he was like, good for them.
That's not what I said.
He said, good for them. Do you want me to tell them what you said, John? Or do you want me to have them?
I will say what I said.
What'd you say?
We saw a drive and I said, nice.
No, he went, ooh.
That might have been what
I
said.
Pretended
but it was a really
he
nice
was being
drive.
a pervert, which I thought was very funny.
Oh my God.
John, they have souls, I believe I said.
You did.
He was talking about where the ball
All I said was that was a good drive. Anyway, you bastard. Oh, damn you. If Chuck Norris was around, I would dispatch him towards you.
I have 2 weird proclivities. One, I'll say it, pregnant women, I don't like it. It's bad. I don't like it about myself. I hate it about myself. Second, J. Crew outfits.
Have those 2 ever combined? Because that would be something.
Not according to many restraining orders. But I don't like it on a golf course. I think everyone should be wearing. I'm just kidding. I don't know.
Oh, this is nice and cool.
This isn't a bit yet. I'm working on it. I'm working on it. It's not a bit yet.
No, it's too true to be a bit.
It has to be somewhat true, but I don't have it.
It's an element of truth. Yeah, I guess. Anyway, let's. It's the end of the week, so it's time to take out the trash. What do you got?
So for my garbage person, we have exclusive proof that Donald Trump is a total size queen. How do I know that? Well, let's start with this story of his garbageness. A commemorative Trump coin, quote, should be as large as possible, a key commission says in granting design approval. And so Donald Trump's Commission on Fine Arts approved a commemorative coin for the country's 250th anniversary. Before we show you, picture in your mind what you think it's gonna look like. What do you think Donald Trump's 250-year anniversary coin is gonna look like? Okay, let's see it. What the hell is happening? He's got his fists down. It's not even like the framing you would normally have on a coin, which is probably why he wants it to be so huge.
He's so high up in the image.
What's that?
He's so high up in the image.
Exactly. The rule of thirds means his face should be where his tie but not is. And instead, he just goes straight up into the E, making it essentially an F with a dot after it. Here is a quote from James McCrae, the Fine Arts Commission Vice Chair. I motion to approve this as presented, and with the strong encouragement that you make it as large as possible, all the way to 3 inches. Elsewhere in the statement, I think the president likes big things. Is 2 inches a good starting point, and to work up from there?
I mean, it's been Trump's ending point in terms of his life, from what I've heard.
Trump definitely seems like the guy who's been told a lot. No, 2 inches is huge. Quote, it's a very strong and tough image of him, and I think it's fitting to have a current sitting president who's presiding over the country over the 250th year on a commemorative coin for said year. Sitting president, let's take a look at it again. Is he sitting? he looks like he's trying not to be shitting.
He's
holding in a fart. Also, I love that it's like a fine arts person. It's undeniably horrible. This makes sense coming from Trump's fine arts department, since his idea of fine art is spray painting plastic appliques from Home Depot. And look at him. He looks like the guy from Poltergeist 2.
Yeah, it's a very gaunt, like old man rendition of his face. Like more than I would expect he would allow.
In what? He's like, he looks like a skeleton, but I'm sure he's like, thank you for making me look thin.
Yeah,
As the
they
leaning
definitely
forward
thinned him up.
creates more of a drapery skin situation where it's like,
It's jowly.
there's
like
an
covering the
accentuated
neck
jowl. My man has never had cheekbones.
I think the coin should just be the neck gina, centered, a full image. I think it would be beautiful.
Well, it's interesting, John, that you say that, because I've come up with some other ideas for what this commemorative coin should look like. For example, if you're commemorating America, commemorate where we've come in all these years, from the Continental Army's strappingness to our current state of Wally-tude.
Brett Erlich's fine arts department.
And like, we can keep the main design, but it looks like he's being loved from behind, am I right? So we could do these ones with Bibi loving him up. And he has the full backing of his in Don We Thrust, or Putin perhaps.
Putin doesn't look that into it, huh?
That one I did use AI for, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I did it. I was like, it was so good. Whatever. I photoshopped the other one. Or you could insert your face, inserting into Donald Trump.
I don't want to insert anything. I like your last one, by the way.
And my last one, I don't know. There's certain files we could use that I think are really the reason he will be remembered and his legacy. And I think his fear that this is how he will be remembered is the reason that he has designed a giant commemorative coin.
Yeah.
John. This is about 2.5 to 3 inches.
Oh my God.
This coin. Are you fucking serious?
It's so stupid. God, and the commission. You sad sacks, you simps, you little creepy weirdos. Just make it a coin, make it a frisbee. Make it a goddamn frisbee coin.
I don't want to speak for the community of numismatists.
I don't know what that means.
Coin collectors.
Oh, okay.
But good Lord, and it's so perfect for him because it's just another way. My cousin, Bill Spaceman Lee, pitcher for the Red Sox, has a whole monologue in the Ken Burns documentary about entrepreneurs like this as it pertains to baseball cards, and how you are just taking a thing with no inherent value and trying to create a value in it so you can make money off it.
Yeah.
And I hope that, you could put a baseball card in the spokes of your bike as you're going down the hill. I hope someone puts this coin in the spokes of Trump's. Because that one's not going to make a fun sound. It's just going to stop your wheels.
And
he'll pull a Biden.
Yeah,
John.
Anyway, yeah, no, it's ridiculous. He looks grim and gaunt and weird. Like, first of all, yeah, they weirdly made his body thinner. They also cut the tie off. Like, the tie would definitely be extending down past the desk for him. The weird hand thing, like but in his defense, and usually I say that and then I'm sarcastic. How would he have any idea what an actual attractive version of himself is when he keeps doing the grotesque versions and his fans like it anyway? I'm at least surprised that they didn't go with the fist thing, the badass image where he eventually stood up after a bullet was near him. I'm surprised that they just seem like they're gonna use that for literally everything. I'm surprised they're going with something else, but this is not attractive, it's not intimidating. It's weird and sad. But that was a fun garbage person. Mine is not. Can anyone guess what it might be? I don't even want to do it. Oh, it makes me so deeply uncomfortable, Brett. Anyway, my garbage person of the week is very regrettably gonna have to be Cesar Chavez, because there's been some really devastating developments over the course of this past week. Great journalism, but yeah. Let's get into this. Labor and civil rights leader Dolores Huerta said just a couple of days ago that she was one of those who tragically was sexually abused by the farm work leader and sort of organizer, Cesar Chavez, literally decades ago. It's something that she has been carrying for decades. She said, I have never identified myself as a victim, but I now understand that I am a survivor of violence, of sexual abuse, of domineering men who saw me and other women as property or things to control. This follows New York Times reporting that involves interviewing, I believe, 60 different people as they looked into this and found evidence that Chavez had groomed multiple little girls while leading the farm workers movement, including a child that he had known since she was 8. That woman is Deborah Rojas, the daughter of one of those who marched with Chavez. She said the experience made her want to die. There was another woman who was first assaulted as a girl at the age of 13. Anna Margia said it happened to her dozens of times afterward over the course of multiple years. And we don't know exactly how many girls and women were assaulted or groomed, but it seems like a significant list already. And we saw with Dolores Huerta that sometimes the revelations make these people feel finally comfortable coming forward. Maybe that will happen for more individuals. But I guess the positive thing that is coming out of this incredibly negative story is that after the revelations, there's a lot of things that are named after commemorative of Cesar Chavez. There's holidays and there's programs and there's roads and there's schools and there's all sorts of things. And already, almost instantaneously, across California, across America, you are seeing an effort to rename those things, to disassociate this name, which is now fundamentally sullied from these things, these streets, these parks, holidays, all of that. And that is positive because, not to speak for everybody's politics, but our side of the aisle, we don't shy away from the truth. We don't shy away from updating our understanding of who a person was, even if it's someone that, in some of these cases, these are people that have looked up to him for literally decades, his legacy, decades after he actually passed. And yet we can update that. And we can acknowledge that, these women they're describing the experience they had. And maybe we shouldn't just go on sort of ignorantly worshiping this person. I wish that was something that we could always count on. And unfortunately, it's been made very clear in this country, especially over the past couple of years, that we cannot. And so good news when people can go through what is, for a lot of people, a very psychologically difficult, an emotional experience, but come out on the other side, with some growth, I suppose. So this is a story that makes me very uncomfortable. But Brett, what do you make of it?
Are you sure you want to toss it to me, John? Because it's not going to stay appropriate.
Let's just briefly comment, and then we'll get to the community.
All right. So big question is, I'm fine with changing the name of stuff. Obviously, I had a whole song you should look up called what is it? It's the ode to, I don't know what it is. I did a song about all the ton of racist monuments in America, showing how ridiculous it is to have these and try to keep them up. That one is more explicitly, those things are horrible. Like those people fought for racism. This guy fought for labor rights and was incidentally horrible. I think it's fine. I think we should rename plazas all the time. Mm-hmm. Who are they going to rename it after? I feel like Selena would be great.
Maybe I don't.
You don't see a lot of the opposite happening. You don't see a lot of people being like, actually, it turns out Hitler was an artist. He should get a street. Because what are you against art?
Give it a minute.
Give it a minute. The Trump organization will tell. But no, I only make those jokes because it's so obvious that this is horrible.
Yeah,
and it's just there's real stuff to it, and then there's the part where you sit there and you're think about it for a while, and you're like, oh wow, I had that horrible thought. What do I do with it? Those horrible thoughts are how bad does someone have to be for you to rename a street?
Yeah, thankfully this one I think goes very clearly on the side of the changing, and glad to see that happening. Okay, with that said, those are our garbage people of the week. But 48,000 of you voted for the community garbage person of the week. 8% voting for Kevin Hassett for saying that they don't care about the economic toll. It's literally the last thing on their mind. 17% for Brendan Carr for threatening the media over coverage of the war. 20% to Stephen Miller for blaming immigrants for the national debt, which we talked about on today's show. 54% for Donald Trump for saying it will be an honor to take Cuba. I believe the Chavez news came out too late to be on that list. One of the reasons it's not one of those, but thank you to everybody who voted. Let's get positive for a minute though. The hero of the week drew 63,000 votes, way more votes for that. A tie for fourth and third, 2% going to Spain's Fallas Festival for their mocking Trump caricatures. I'm not actually familiar with that, and I apologize. 2% to Democratic Representative Jim McGovern for slamming the cost of the Iran war. 16% to Judge Brian Murphy for striking down RFK Jr.'s vaccine policies, which we also covered. You can see that clip on the channel. 79% to NATO allies for not getting sucked into Trump's war. I wonder how long they can potentially hold out as the economic toll continues to mount. We will see, but I do like that they're not just immediately following in line behind Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu, but we will see. Thank you to everybody who voted. With that said, we got time for one more topic. So Brett, are you ready to do this?
Yeah, let's do it. Whether you are or not, I'm fair.
I'm fair. Let's do it.
I'm just getting texts from Ricky being like, "Did you see that shot?" All right, let's do this. Let's wrap it up.
Shot you're talking about. Okay, let's do it. Elon Musk once again got extremely triggered by Jon Stewart after his obvious, indisputable rigging of Twitter's algorithm to benefit the right and more so to benefit himself was called out. Here is what Jon Stewart said on his podcast.
Elon Musk, for a long time, and really incredibly consistently and vehemently has pushed this idea that undocumented non-citizen voting is rampant. It is sowing the seeds of our destruction, and we cannot do it. He's tweeted about it, I think 1,300 times or interacted with stories about it. The irony of it all is that this guy's platform, this guy's algorithm, which he is in charge of, I see his shit on my feed all the time. I don't ever interact with it. There's no reason for it to be there. Mm-hmm. That he is a far more relevant actor in the warping of our democracy through his money and his algorithm than any measure of undocumented non-citizen voting will ever be.
And ironically, he's a migrant. But yeah, I agree with Jon Stewart there, 100%. He has manipulated the algorithm to benefit the right. He's spread misinformation. He's taken apart, all of the protections, and he's done that to affect politics. It's explicitly what he has done. And Jon Stewart in this next clip goes on to attack Musk's so-called free speech defense.
What his argument, and I think his people's argument would be is, well, now that we're getting uncensored material, now that the First Amendment has primacy, people move to the right because they learn the truth. But the truth is that algorithm incentivizes the misinformation from the right, and he designs it.
Yeah, 100%. And so I don't know exactly all of the parts of it that bothered Elon Musk the most, but at one point he did tweet, Jon Stewart is an extremely skilled propagandist disguised as a truth teller. To which Jon Stewart replied, Elon Musk is an extremely skilled propagandist, which I like, that's funny. No, Jon Stewart, look, you don't have to agree with everything he says. But if you disagree with this particular point, you could, give some evidence, show your work, as Brett was saying earlier, but he knows what he did. Elon Musk knows. The specific story that John cited was when Joe Biden's Super Bowl tweet did much better than him. So he called in dozens of engineers and said, make me perform better on Twitter. And they increased his reach by something like 1,000%. So that now, if you never interact with him, you will see his tweets. If you literally block him, you will see his tweets because they have made it so. There's no free marketplace. There's no capitalism of ideas or whatever. It is forced down your throat. And that's the individual level. Jon Stewart's more concerned with the overall algorithm there. But it is embarrassing for Elon Musk that the only way he can feel popular is if he rigs the system to produce it. Now, Jon Stewart also did say, come on the show. We'll talk about how self-deprecating we both are. Previously, Elon Musk had said, I want to debate you on the Daily Show, but only if it's uncut and unedited. To which Jon Stewart said, okay, And Elon Musk just pushed back into a bush, and that was it. And in this particular case, after being once again invited on the show, there has been nothing from Musk about this because he has no faith in his ability to actually counter Jon Stewart. He wants to pretend that Jon Stewart's just some massive liar or whatever, but he knows how effective Jon Stewart is and he wants nothing of it. Brett, what do you think?
I can't tell you how perfect a counterpoint is a comedian to a billionaire. Especially a billionaire Nepo baby whose dad owned diamond emerald mines. Because one, the billionaire, the Nepo baby, has spent their entire life and growing up having people tell them yes. And the thing about a comedian from the jump, everybody is telling you no. And the only way you get them to tell you yes is if you figure out something essential about the human experience. And then you start chipping away at it. And that is it. You were born in the dark. And literally, because you're in you're in a comedy club on an open mic and nobody knows who the fuck you are. It's amazing and it's my favorite. And it's very the fact isn't oh, it's censorship versus non-censorship. That's just a narrative that the right is using right now. It is rich assholes are not the solution to anything.
Yeah.
Right? Their solution is Elon Musk. No, that's a rich a-hole who is just a different rich a-hole who owns a very powerful distribution mechanism of propaganda, rhetoric, political speech, whatever. But when we know for a fact, by virtue of what they say and how there's a disparity between that and the effect of getting Elon Musk in your feed, even though you don't even interact with it, they're telling us not a total lie. And we know it's a lie. And people like Jon Stewart were born in the darkness and have found a way to communicate more effectively than Elon Musk. And that's why he's so scared not to be surrounded by a bunch of yes-sayers and go into what a hostile environment like the Daily Show live audience, which going into a hostile environment is what you do as a comedian.
Yeah. And that's the exact opposite of anything Elon Musk wants a part of.
Yeah.
Okay, well, with that said, that is unfortunately all the time that we have for the show. We are gonna be doing members content. We're gonna be talking about a joke that Donald Trump told the Prime Minister of Japan. We have our resident expert on Japan, Brett Erlich, will be commenting on that. If you want to become a member, you can get access to all of that content. And I'll also be leading the first hour of the Young Turks later on, so definitely join us for that. For now though, Brett, thank you for being here. For all of you out there, stay safe out there, stay sane out there, and we'll see you soon.